Welcome back to Prime Your Day, Prime Your Midlife. And today we're going to put a little bow on Christmas for you. It's an early Christmas present. And today I'm bringing you the Business Facilitator, Mr. Steve Logan. Hey, sir, how are you today?
I'm really good. It's Monday morning. It's freezing, but so what? It's good.
Well, it's an early Christmas present for both of us. We're going to look back at the year talking about the big thing in sales that enable you to be the best version of yourself, which is all around people. So that's the context of today. But just before we dive into that, Stephen, I always start this question around midlife. For you, is it a point of crisis, which everybody associates midlife with, or for you, is it around mindset?
Do you know what? I've not even looked at the word midlife and thought, am I at midlife, or is this the middle of my life as a husband, as a dad of teenagers? Is this my midpoint? I haven't even registered if that's what it is. So for me, it's got to be a mindset, it's got to be behavior, it's got to be a thought process of, if you believe it's midlife, then you're going to go that way. Whereas I wake up every day and it's let's go. So yeah, I struggle with the midlife crisis kind of thought process.
All right. Well, if anybody hasn't met Stephen before, could you just tell us in a quick snapshot? And I know I'm putting you on the back foot here on the sales point, but how do you bring value to people in your network, Stephen?
If I was doing a sales pitch, I go down the route of, I'm Steven Logan, the business facilitator. My job is to increase sales by improving behaviors, revenue, blah, blah, blah. But the feedback I get back from people is I help them think differently about sales, because as opposed to it being a negative concept, I make it positive. And I help salespeople believe in themselves a bit more. So they're happy to ask questions. They're happy to be themselves, present better, and be a little bit more human as opposed to the formulaic process of sales. So yeah, there's that balancing act of my marketing message and then the results I give to people. And that appears to be self-confidence, inner belief, and a different mindset.
Yeah, and I've done a little bit of reading on you and some of your testimonials, and I do get the sense of it's not textbook stuff. It's proper getting in the tools and getting dirty and having a go and feeling the fear and feeling it anyway. Is that sort of a good synopsis of how you approach your sales consultation, sales training?
Given I read very little, I'm not sure how textbook I could be. But so yeah, the answer is you've got to feel it, because it's people. So it can't be robotic, because we are dealing with human beings, whether we're teaching and coaching and mentoring others, or we're getting them to communicate with humans. So we have to have a human element. So there has to be emotion, there has to be feeling, whether it's empathy, sympathy, or fear. We have to get involved in all that side of it anyway. So yeah, textbook out the window. Let's be humans.
Okay, we're going to look back a little bit this year around selling, and something that we've discussed, the continuity part of selling is people, and how people can arm you or disarm you in terms of the sales conversation. So, Stephen, how important are people to you in your life, in your network?
Well, without people, I wouldn't get referrals. And referrals are probably the most powerful tool in any business, not just in sales. But if I can recommend you to someone else, then there's already a massive element of knowing someone, liking someone, and trusting them for me to go, Chris is a good guy, speak to him. So, and that person I'm passing you on to goes, okay, well, if Steven says they're a good guy and I trust him, then Chris must be a good guy. And that's the way. Without a referral network, and no matter which network that is, whether that's online, offline, indoor, outdoor, family, friends, community, colleagues, workplace, I think we'd all struggle, and the world would be I personally would have a very lonely existence without that community around me.
Mm. And if somebody's watching this now and they're looking back and thinking, do you know what, I haven't got a clue where to start with networking, who to go and meet, what would you recommend? I mean, obviously we met in a networking context, but if they're just thinking, well, I could do BNI, I could do chamber, I could do all kinds of different things. You know, I could network probably 8 hours a day. Where would you recommend people start as a first step?
Oh, there's so many networks out there. So if you've never networked before, then you've got to go out and try it. You can't just go, I'm only going to be in this network. So like the ones you've mentioned, I've been through pretty much all of them until I found the one that fitted me and my personality. And I think that's where when it comes to sales and business ownership, you've got to understand yourself first. If you understand yourself and what you can give, then you'll find a network that you're capable and suitable to be in. Whereas if you go to a network thinking I've got to sell, then you've got to be in a room with people who are going to buy. And that doesn't work in networking. Especially, you've got to know your products, whatever you're selling, whatever service, solution, product, whatever it is. If you don't believe in it and trust it and know it inside out, no one's going to buy anyway. So that's where the inner belief comes in, and the self-confidence and understanding who you are. So if you don't do that, then finding your networking group is going to be really difficult. There's so many out there that can work for multiple people with different types of personalities. So my one tip would be believe in yourself first and then try different networks. You've got to give them 6, 9, 12 months of effort and commit to it, not just turn up and go, oh, this is a nice cup of tea, nice bacon sandwich. You've got to commit to it. You've got to give it everything, and then you can walk away or stay, depending on the value you get from it.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. That people say, "Oh, my network's not working. I'm not getting any referrals." And I'll ask them the question. But if you were asking me that question, and I said, "Oh, Stephen, I'm just hacked off with this. I'm not getting anything back," what kind of interrogation steps would you give to me or anybody that's an audience member who's just thinking, my network sucks, I'm not getting anything from it?
I would always be, this is where the textbook goes out the window, and the traditional answer would be, oh, but no, if you're not getting anything from your network, that's your fault, because you're either not saying the right thing to the right person in the right room, and you need all three to be in play. If you're missing one of those three, you're going to get it wrong. So you've got to say the right things to the right people in the right room. So I use the example, it'd be pointless me going to a tech event to talk about IT and exactly, I get stuck on that now, on IT and stuff, because that's not who I am. That's not my capability. It's not my thought process. It's very much, I know people in IT, let me refer you, they're more intelligent than me. But put me in a room of construction marketing type. I can talk about construction because I've spent a lot of time in that world. I can talk about marketing because sales and marketing go hand in hand. So put me in those rooms and I can talk and I can engage and I can make referrals and I can be a thought leader or an educator. So you've got to be in the right room talking to the right people about the right things. Otherwise your network will suck because you don't know, you're not clear, concise and consistent. And that's the key to communication.
Clear, concise and consistent. I like that. I might have to steal. Is it okay if I steal that?
You can steal that, but as long as you don't steal my 4 C's of communication, you're all right.
Oh, okay. Well, there's more. 4 C's of communication. All right. Well, go on. You may as well tell us now. It's Christmas. Let open the present.
Well,
can we do that?
Oh, yeah. All methods of communication, whether you're online, offline, indoor or outdoor, have to follow the 4 C's of communication: clear, concise, consistent, and confidence. If you deliver what you're saying with those 4 C's, the audience can hear you better. So therefore, they'll understand you better, as opposed to not being clear, not being concise, not being consistent, and not being confident. People switch off. Whereas the 4 C's of communication impact how people listen.
All right. Fair enough. I'm going to challenge you back on the confident thing then. And you are Mr. Business Facilitator, and you have let's be honest, a little bit of an aura about you of coming to the screen with an air of confidence. It's not an arrogant confidence. It's just the case of, listen, I'm good at what I do. Do you want to listen or do you want to ignore? But ignorance suggests that your ego is getting the better of you. But I'm sure there are times when you've walked into the week or you've walked away from a situation and there's a little bit of imposter syndrome in you saying, do you know, Steven, I don't know whether you're as good as you could have been there. How has your network helped you out of some of those positions where you're feeling a little bit fallible?
Well, to change that question slightly, and apologies for that, my network gave me my inner belief. So I don't see it necessarily as a confidence, as a I can do, I can believe. I see it as a very much, because people can be confident without having inner belief. And when inner belief kicks in and you're sure of yourself and what you're saying has a positive impact on others, that's when the aura, if you like, is in play. And my network gave me that, because before networking and before communicating my message to various people, I didn't believe that I was worthy of a room, an audience, of this type of conversation. I didn't think people would listen, because I thought everyone already knew what I was going to tell them. So it took me 2-3 years of networking properly and being in and around people who gave me my inner strength and my inner belief. So when that wavers from time to time, which it does, people may not believe it, and it wavers normally when I don't have my waistcoat on, like now. My waistcoat is my kind of cape. It is that superhero thing that I put on and go, right, I can now deliver. I am now me. Whereas I haven't got it on now, so I'm a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more fallible, if you like, which is great, because I don't mind not being a superhero all the time. I don't mind being Clark Kent, if you like, and being human. And when that happens, my wife and my kids are my genuine go-to. First thing, I need help, come to me, give me a hug, and I get them. And they're the physical hugs that I need. But then there's all the verbal hugs that are out there, all the cuddles of the world that you can get from being online, being offline, indoor, outdoor. I play golf, like yourself. So if I need some time, or I need some male bonding, if you like, just some banter or so I never wear the waistcoat on the golf course. If I need someone, and usually Mike Alder's the man for this, and Ben Crompton and Hugh Griffiths and the other lads in my group, but mainly Mike and Ben. If I need some male bonding time, if you like, right, let's go and have a round of golf. And all I'll get for 4 hours is banter about how rubbish I am, about how the ball's gone this way, that way, and that way, and how I can't hit a putt, and all the rest of the things that come with lads and that kind of schoolboy behaviour. And that's what picks me up.
Mm. What are the sort of the emotional triggers that you know you need to be conscious of for you to understand that, you know, the roller coaster's going across the top of the hill and it's descending into a bit of a valley? Is there something that you know happens, or is it self-talk? Talk to us about that.
Well, I hadn't necessarily appreciated what it was until after lockdown, and when the kids went back to school. So from the March to the September, it was pure energy into everyone and everything. I think I did over 150 one-to-ones on top of networking, on top of doing groups and things, all online. And come September, when people went back to work, and it wasn't the kids going back to school, it was when adults went back to work. And I felt myself going under. It's the only way I can describe it. And it just felt really dark and really heavy on my chest. And I couldn't, in my head, I'm trying to work out what it is. So I'm trying to self-taught and thought my way out of it. But I couldn't, because I didn't know what it was. So I've never been there before. And the network around me, so using Mike Alder, rang me up and said, "You're not right, what's going on?" Because my social media behavior had changed. My wife was very much, "Hang on, you're not right here. Something's the matter. Talk to me." So I was trying to talk to her, and that we had this group that formed in lockdown, with Arthur Jupp and Alex Stubbs and James Elwood, Johnny Taylor, Richard Gilman, and another guy who joined it outside the golfing network called David McMillan. And we met most Wednesdays through lockdown online, never met each other, but we just came together as a kind of spin-off from our networking group. And I'm not going to share anybody else's stories, but I weren't the first or last one to break down online and say, "Shit, I need help. Lads, listen to me, talk to me, tell me things that are happening in your world to make me feel like it's not just me, not just as a dad, not just as a business owner, but as a person." I needed other lads, dads, men to give me something of them, so that I didn't feel like I was on my own and alone. And those guys just...
Was there a time when you were kind of saying to yourself, "Hang on a minute, Steven, you are the business facilitator, you know, put your cape on. Surely you can't be the person that's going to go into this breakdown mode." Was there a struggle in your own mind as to how to literally ask for help?
Because I'd seen others ask in the group that we were in, and because I've seen others literally come online and go, "Help, someone talk to me," I felt that was the room I could do it in. I didn't go to my dad, I didn't go to my brother, I didn't go to I didn't go to people who I've known all my life and who are my kind of conversation people. I went to this group of people who, as I said, I hadn't met any of them at this point. I'd only seen them through a screen. So the fact that we'd shared a lot about each other in that kind of 5-6 months, I think made it a lot easier for me to kind of recognize that some of these guys have communicated openly and honestly and emotionally with me. I can go to them, because my dad would never come to me and go, "Son, I need help." Or my brother, my 18 years older brother, you know, whatever he's got his own stories to tell. But I think, to answer the question, did I feel at any point I had a conflict within myself? Yes, I did. Did I know how to handle it? No. Did I know what was going on? No. But did I know it was there? Yeah. So I think recognizing it existing is kind of the first thing for me of, this isn't right. I don't like it. What can I do to fix it? And being the business facilitator, can I put a cape on to fix it for myself? I suppose the answer is yes, because the business facilitator introduces you to people who you really need in your life to make you better. So I looked at me and said, who can help me? Who's going to make me okay again? Mm. And my wife recognised it very quickly. I said, my mates who I'm close to recognised it quickly. And the guys who I shared a networking room with for 6 weeks, 6 months, purely online, were shocked when I said Arthur would chair the room, because Arthur's the chairman. He's the one with the aura. And he'd go around everybody else, "How are you feeling? How are you doing? What's going on in your life? Is there anything we can do to help?" And he got to me. And normally they get Steven bravado and story and, this is happening, we've done this, we've done that, the world's a great place. And I just went, "Phew." And all you could, afterwards, they all kind of went, "We weren't expecting that from you." And I'm like, well, I weren't either, but I needed it. So, and you guys have given it to me. And since I've been golfing with Arthur, spent some good time with him. James, we've been out for tea and spent some time together. And James's journey is absolutely amazing, how well he's doing right now. and the other lads I still keep in touch with. And Dave McMillan, me and him have written a culture of excellence workshop that we now deliver together into businesses. So, but again, that brings in a big emotional tie of how you have to be the best you can be as often as possible, but it's okay if you're not, because you can talk to people.
So if we can just look back at that time when you did that,
yeah,
and was that all right? Was that how it felt?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Just give us some specificity. What kind of things did they suggest to you to do, or was it just a case of unleashing your inner demons, and then that allowed you to unpack the solutions for yourself? How did you get out of that rut?
So after talking to the lads online and literally just going, oh, I feel like this, and people then going, that's okay, you're allowed to feel that way, we're all here for you if you need anything. The wife literally said to me, right, go and play golf, get out, so give your head a wobble, because I know you're happier when you're like this. I know you're happier on the golf course and be in the fresh air, just being outside and doing what you can do. Because I didn't have any clients per se that I could go and put the waistcoat on for to go and express. I have my client base, but I can't break down to my clients because I have the waistcoat on. So I have to be big and brave. I have to be big boy pants on, front up. So I couldn't do it that way. I had to do it that way on the outdoor golf course, football pitch, whatever physical place people go to. And that's me. So when she said, right, go and play golf tomorrow, got on the phone to Mike, Ben and Hugh straight away, said, lads, I need a round of golf tomorrow. I need some help. I need to be outdoor. I need some, oh yeah, not a problem. Let's go. And on that talk and walk around the golf course, they were very much, we've seen it, we're noticing it, what's going on? I went, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to stop it. But I think me acknowledging it, that it was existing, and me kind of owning it was the steps that I needed to take for me to then go, okay, let's acknowledge what it is. And it became very quick, it was very apparent very quick that I just needed to go and just get it out. And what I needed to get out was, for 6 months, I felt very needed and people were coming to me for help, even though they didn't realize it or they didn't need it. Me giving it to them through one-to-ones and picking up the phone and me being very outward with my emotion meant come September, I was empty. So I needed some back. I needed some people to give me love back and give me lots of cuddles, and which goes against the business facilitator, who's very, this is the way it is, this is the way it has to be, textbook out the window, and very forthright and upfront and honest. But I suppose it flips it all the way to, I need to be honest with me. And that was, I need some verbal cuddles. Because my wife could give me all the emotional, physical cuddles, and my kids did, but I needed more. I needed the world out there to kind of acknowledge that I was empty, and I just needed re-energizing, and I needed them to do it. And once I knew that, I started asking people for it.
Okay, well, thank you for your transparency on that. I'm curious if you'd ask for that help, and I'm wondering, it wasn't your dad or your mates that were the first point of call for you. Had you reached out to your network of those trusted people and they just said, Stephen, come on, you're the big lad who can just put the waistcoat on, and are you serious? What would have happened if they just said, come on, shut up, get a move on and crack on?
I think I would have tried to put big boy pants on all day, every day. I think I would have tried to do that, but I think I would have broken at some point. And what that looks like, I don't know, because where I got to was enough for me to go, I don't like it, I don't want to be here, so please help. And I'm only talking about 2-3 weeks of feeling like horror, let alone what, I don't want to put a label on what I had or what it was, because I don't want to dismiss what everybody else goes through and needs medication for and needs real help. Yes, I can acknowledge I needed real help for me. What that looks like for others, I really don't know. But again, because that group of Arthur, James, Alex, Dave, John and Richard, because of that group had already given a little of themselves and been emotionally vulnerable as well, I knew I could go there and be emotionally vulnerable. I knew I could be the Waistcoat away and I could be who I wanted to be there. Whereas my mates of 30 years who I went to school with, I could probably go to one, maybe two of them and be really vulnerable. But even then, I think I'd get a look of, this isn't you, what's going on? And it make them uncomfortable. And I think my mates and my dad and my brother and that side of that man world that I've got, I think it'd make them more uncomfortable than me. Whereas that group, I don't think it made them uncomfortable because we'd already shared a lot already. So I think it was very much a very comfortable, safe place.
Mm. I really like the way that you talk about the physical cuddles that you could have got, but actually it was almost, there was an emotional part in you. Maybe your heart and soul was saying, no, the voice in the head is still wrong. It's not, I can say all the things that I want to myself, but actually inwardly, I'm feeling as though there's something missing and I need more than just the physical cuddles and it'll be all right, mate. You know, put your big boy's pants on. How have you now taken that and thought, what can I now do to try to prevent that roller coaster of doom encroaching on your life?
So a couple of things I do myself, and there's a company called Resilience Development based in Jersey. David Ogilvy and John Wilkin. Watkin. And those two have got a company, called Resilience Development. And I listen to a sentence. Well, I read their things online. I'm not a big reader, but I read their stuff online. And they talk very much about being human and how it's allowed. But they put resilience in this bracket of, and I've converted it into my world, but it's not how you bounce back. It's how you maintain. So you don't, if you're struggling, how do you cope and how do you have a mechanism to stop you going from, so I call it the 6 to 8 bracket. And my 6 to 8 bracket is work. My emotions in work, Waistcoat world, don't go below a 6 and don't go above an 8. Because that is my workplace, 6 to 8. And outside, so the work world, that is me. That is my resilience bracket there. I won't go below it. I won't get disappointed, heartbroken, feel all the negativity that a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 will get you to. But I also won't let it get me to that ecstatic, wonderful place emotionally. My behavior can be 9 or 10 out of 10. Of course it can, because I need to be brilliant for my clients. But emotionally, I'm a 6 to 8 person now, because I won't allow my emotions to come below the 6. And not that that's something that Resilience Development talk about in that way, but I've taken what they do and what they say and how they behave and put it into my world. And I don't allow myself to drop below a 6. Now, my normal world, my wife, my kids, my family and extended friends and that, yes, I can go to 1 to 6 with them and I can go 9 to 10 with them, because that's this thing in here. And I allow that to be human. And I think that's one of the biggest things I kind of talk to myself about, is it's okay to be human now. And it's okay to be vulnerable. So if I am feeling vulnerable, I am feeling like I want to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then talk about it. And genuinely talk about things like this. For me, are wonderful, because I can just talk about it to a guy who I know this much out of the world, but I know it's okay. I know it's a safe place. And even though this is going to be broadcast, I don't mind that, because it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be human.
Yeah, I call that 6 to 8 sometimes. It's like an internal thermostat on the heating in the house. And when the cold starts to creep in, the heater kicks in and goes, no, 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 we need to stop the cold and we need to move past it. But you haven't got this thermostat in you to say, I'm approaching a 7 that's going into a 6. So what's your thermostat? What are the things when the alarm bell starts to ring and says, Steven, you are slipping, mate. You need to reach out. You need to, what are the things that just says, I'm stuck, I'm slipping?
So the things that normally trigger me, because of sales and the way I've been for 20 plus years, and I hear it from salespeople, I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to make that call. I don't want to send that email. I don't want to chase that proposal. When I wake up in the morning, and that's one of the first things I think about, that's when I know, right, let's readjust. Because my first thought normally in the morning is, that's my alarm, roll over, hug my wife. My wife's there, therefore it's a good day. The kids' alarms are going off, they're coming in for hugs, great. That's my, okay, today's going to be a good day because I've woke up and everything's normal. If I wake up going, I don't like today, for whatever reason, and it's that genuine, I don't want to work today, and it happens to so many people, and it's allowed. If my first thought is that, I turn around to my wife, I give her the hug, and I go, Babs, I'm going to need a little bit today. And she's like, what do you mean? Not feeling it. I'm going to need, whether it's just to go out for lunch, whether it's something, I just need something different. I need that process, that organization, that mundane work life of getting up, kids to school, have breakfast, start reading, start writing, start putting things together for classes or whatever. I need that to stop. And I need just a bit of you time, whether it's with my wife, whether it's taking one of the kids to school and just holding the hand. Obviously not the eldest, he won't have that. But whether it's singing on the way to work as opposed to being normal, I need something to kickstart me. And again, it can be one of the 3 wonderful people in my life, or it can be just making a phone call to, whether it's Arthur again, or someone, just to go, what we're doing, what's going on, talk to me. I need verbal cuddles. And that doesn't mean I need someone to say, Steven, I love you, you're awesome, you're fantastic. So I can ring my dad for that, I can ring my mates, I can ring my brother, my mum. I can get that quite easy. It's the outside world, because I will say it openly. Salespeople generally, and I put myself in this bracket, are very insecure people. And we need affirmation, verification, clarification, all those Asians to kind of energize us, to kick us into gear. And that may be the same with other kind of jobs as well, but and business owners, I would say, probably are as well. We do what we do for glory.
But we're also sometimes too proud to admit that we actually have that need for those virtual cuddles, because we don't think it's emotionally transparent enough to say, hey, I'm struggling today and can you help me? Because we have that inner person that says, but you're the salesperson, you're the person that should be smashing the phone, you should be the person that's doing the proposals and the pitches and being the gregarious one, because we're too proud to admit actually that we need some help.
Yeah, can be, have been, and been there, done that, got the waistcoat to say. But that's, again, once you open up to being human and being real, and again, this goes back to one of the first questions of knowing who you are. I know that as a salesperson, I'm a better salesperson when I'm being human, not when I'm being a robot, not when I'm smashing the phone, not when I'm knocking on doors, but when I'm being very deliberate in who I'm talking to, in the way I'm talking to them. So put a process in to how you can behave better, not just for you to get the best out of you, but to help others.
Yeah. Okay, well, that helping others thing was also something that you said was draining your own tank, and it was where you actually started to fall down a little bit. So I'm conscious of boundaries. How have you put your own boundaries in to say, no, I need to stop people pleasing so much and actually look after me and look after Steve?
So after the 6 months that was pure networking and being online and all that kind of stuff, obviously in Preston, we only actually came out of lockdown 6 months later because of all the restrictions and barriers and everything else. So we still had more to go, which we didn't know. And yeah, I was drained emotionally and I was drained physically. And yes, I was. How do I put those barriers up now? Or how do I stop myself giving it as much as I did? And it sounds a little bit crass, but I charge people for time. So there's the value becomes multi-layered, and it's not just an emotional value I'm giving, and it's not just a mental value I'm giving. It's okay, pay for my time, because then there's a value at the end. And I probably lost. Did I lose value in myself over that? That's why I then got to the end of, I don't value myself because I didn't have a result at the end. I didn't have an outcome. I didn't have someone saying thank you. I think that's probably the thing. It's that thank you, whether it's money or whether it's a bag of chips or whatever it is. I didn't get enough thank yous along the way. I think that's probably the big thing that, and the people who can listen to this will be some of my clients, and I talk a lot about thank yous because they're too easy words to use, but when you don't get them, you feel like shit.
Well, and also the basic principle of saying thank you to yourself and having gratitude for the fact that you can turn the lights on, the fact that we can communicate over Zoom, and the gratitude that you've got that wonderful network is a really good principle that definitely serves me. I'm interested about people like Arthur, who clearly have been great servants to you from a humanity perspective. Do you ever audit your own network for the people that are the mood hoovers and the drainers and the negative people? And if so, what do you do about that?
I don't engage them as much as I used to. And people do this in life generally. So if you've got a group of friends who you've known since you were 5, 10, 15, whatever, but went to university with them, the ones who have positive impacts in your life are still there. The ones who don't aren't. I think it becomes a very basic thing that of people in general, of all the people I want and all the people I love and all the people I want to communicate with and engage with are here. I can reach out to, and they're there. Those who I don't.
Okay. So it's not a physical, right, mate, I don't want to talk to you anymore, get out of my life. It's just a conscious moving away from and not spending as much time on, and maybe just not saying yes to people that are asking you for things that you think are no longer, the value equation is no longer in balance for you. Yeah,
I think when networking, bring it from a friendship into a networking room. If you networked with a group of people 5 years ago, for example, and you network with them for 2-3 years, and then you stop networking in that room with that group of people and you went networking elsewhere, look at the people around you. How many of those people from that room are you still talking to? There you go. Ex-girlfriends. When people stop bringing value to your life, no matter what it is, whether it's emotional, physical, strategic, clients, whatever it is, once they start bringing value to your life, you naturally switch off to them. So that's the same as from a networking point of view. Once people stop behaving positively to you, and you don't get your verbal cuddles from my world, then if you're not going to give me thank yous and verbal cuddles and attention that I ain't giving it you. I'm not going to give you my physical, emotional energy because I've got all these other people who need it and deserve it more. So whether that's a conscious or a subconscious thing, I think people do it naturally, but I probably do it when there's on a switch and go, do you know what? No, you're not bringing value to my life anymore.
Okay. What about the male-female part of this to play in terms of we're all a bit woke and you need to man up and come on, Steve, get a grip. Do you think that there is still a problem with the male persona that says that we shouldn't be so vulnerable and we shouldn't be asking for help?
I would say that there will be in and around the world. There will be we're not allowed to say man up anymore. And I get why. I understand why. Because you can be a man and be emotional. And that's a good thing. And I'm bringing up two boys. And yes, when they're hurt on the football pitch and they took a knock, get up, get on with it, run it off. It's again football. It's sport. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. And it's a very fine line and balancing act between telling your kids, telling your mates to man up and get on with it and put your big boy pants on, to having a conversation around why, if they can't man up, if they can't put the big boy pants on, if they can't break through that whatever barrier it is, what's stopping it from happening? And I think the more questions we ask around that, the better. And I think as coaches, as mentors, whether it's on the sporting field or whether it's at home with kids or whether it's workplace, whatever, if we see someone failing or stumbling and we can see it, they're not admitting it, but that we can see it, then asking the question, are you okay, is one thing. Because the natural answer you're going to get from a lot of people, I'd say 95, 98% of people would be, yeah, I'm fine, thanks, crack on. Okay, I've asked, I've done the right thing, I've asked, they said they're fine, I can get on with my day. How many people are going to be brave enough to say, are you okay? And when someone says yeah, because again, this is where the open and closed questions of sales come into play. I've asked you a closed question, so I'm only going to get a yes or no. It's easier to say yes in that scenario than to say no. Okay, yes, you're okay. Okay. So why are you behaving this way? Having the bravery to ask that question, knowing you could get a barrage back. You could get, what you got to do with you? Who are you to? Okay. I'm just saying, I'm noticing that you don't look and feel and be, you're not yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can see you're not yourself. Tell me to mind my own business by all means. But if you're not going to talk to me about it, talk to someone. As long as you talk to someone, go for it. How many people are brave enough to ask the next question?
Yeah.
And I think that's the key.
There's a really lovely Nivea Men promotion on at the moment, and it says, ask a mate, out of 10, how are you feeling today? Because it comes at it with a different perspective. If they're a 5 and, we know that Stephen needs to be between a 6 and an 8, that's already ringing an alarm bell to me to say, whoa, hang on a minute. Stephen's normally the 8 guy. Today's a 5. I need to be different about my response to that.
Yeah.
All right. We're going into Christmas, and I read a horrific stat the other day that suggested that 1 million people in the UK will have 5 days of silence because they are on their own for Christmas.
Yeah.
And some people might be sat there going, well, that's great for Steve. He's got his Arthur and he's got his network and he's got his mates. He's got all these people he can go and ask for help with. Let's just say that you didn't have all of that and you were facing into a period of, I don't know who to turn to. What do you recommend for that person that might just be facing into 5 days of solitude because they haven't got the family, the friends and the network that's there to support them?
We can give all these answers about reaching out and we can give the answers of going to people, but if these people haven't got a network And if these people haven't got family, friends, community around them, whether that's online, offline, indoor, outdoor, they haven't got the answers. So it's probably not down to them to do the work. It's going to be down to us to do that work. And if we know where these people are, and from a vulnerable 16-year-old to a old man, woman who's lost their other half and all that kind of emotional loss, the grief side of it, if we know there's an old person or a young person who's potentially vulnerable, then it's our job to reach out. If they're silent for 5 days over Christmas, that's because they don't know where to go. They haven't got an answer, or they're too proud. Well, guess what? If they're too proud, then we have to knock on that door ourselves, and we have to be the person to say, let's have a coffee, let's have a drink, let's have a mince pie, let's have an hour. No matter who it is, whether that's a grandparents, great uncle, great auntie, neighbour, someone on the corner, one of the guys from the golf club, no matter who it is, we have to be the human and break down that pride barrier, if it is pride. Some people just won't have an answer, so therefore we have to be the answer.
Do you know what, Stephen? Of all the answers I've had this year, that's one of the best I've ever had, in terms of the ability for us to say, I'm okay, but you're not okay. And therefore, how can I enable you to be a little bit better? And having that emotional intelligence and also awareness to think, this person has literally nowhere else to go, but perhaps I can give them a little bit of a step forward that enables them to think that 2023 might be a better place for them. So thank you for that answer. It's a really, really good way of answering that question. Listen, a few kind of top and tail questions for you. I'll let you think about this, but the 3 fundamentals that you would like to finish 2022 with and take forward to 2023 to enable you to be better at sales, better as a human, better as a dad. Just 3 thoughts. But while your brain thinks about that, how can we connect with you, Stephen? What's the best way for people to learn more about you or bring you some benefits into 2023?
LinkedIn's probably, from a business world, my LinkedIn profile is active. My LinkedIn profile communicates. I'll be posting in and around Christmas, nothing to do with sales, but more about talking, more about being a dad, being a human. And I think that's a really good thing. We've got and I'm same on Facebook, but I'm part of a dad's footballing group called Team Kickabout. So again, we've got hundreds of lads, all dads at various ages, all part of this group. And we play football every Thursday night in Preston, but we've got another one on a Monday night. So if there's any dads in the Lancashire area who need to get out a bit more, who just need a break, research Team Kickabout. There'll be a football group in Lancashire that can help you. And no matter what your ability, no matter what your wants, needs are, as long as you can put some clothes on and get to a football pitch, we'll accept you with open arms and we'll play football with you. And so we've got that available for people. So that'll be talked about. And naturally on the back of that, the dad group then extends into Team Dads. And there's hundreds and hundreds of dads in a group on Facebook that can just go on there and say, I'm struggling. Can anybody help me with X, Y, and Z? And that can range from with posts about, I've got a puncture on Eastway, can someone help me? A dad's there within half an hour helping. I can't get to the shops, I've broke my leg. Someone's there doing an Asda shop, looking after that person. And that's the kind of energy that goes through that group. So I surround myself in those types of environments. For me, and that's a very much a me thing, as much as it is for somebody else, because I know when I can see other people struggling, I know I'm not alone. So my kind of fundamentals, taking to next year, how I can be a better dad is to probably remember what it's like to be a 14-year-old and not just be a dad who's miserable and grumpy, as I'm told, which is fine. But remember what it's like to be them, put yourself in their shoes, How to be a better husband. You have to ask the wife that. Probably, I don't know. She'd probably say listen more, but there's only so much listening to the wife you can do. And that's for everyone. That's for all wives out there. There's only so much we can handle women, sorry. How to be a better salesperson. Again, I think every now and then taking the waistcoat off and being open to the story. Even though we get the stories out of people, it's when I've got the waistcoat on, I probably react to the story differently to how I would react to it if we were sat in Costa, Nero, or wherever, having a coffee, having a piece of toast and going, tell me more. So I'll probably take the waistcoat off more and be more human, I think.
All right. Can I just check that the Facebook group is called Team Dads, is it?
There's Team Dads and Team Kickabout in Lancashire.
Okay.
I said hundreds and hundreds of dads are part of it. So join it, talk, engage. If you want to play football, then join one of the groups local to you. And one of the dads will answer the questions as to which one's best, which one's local, and what times kick off and all that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. All right, final question. Turkey, beef, lamb or nut roast for Christmas Day lunch?
I'll be cooking as per usual, and we'll have turkey and lamb.
Nice. Very good. Steven, again, like I said to you, some really lovely answers today. I thank you for your emotional vulnerability to take the waistcoat off and bring us a little bit of Steven that perhaps some haven't seen before. That there is there's a cuddy little Steven in there that needs a little bit of wrapping around. So if you are seeing Steven this year over Christmas, just give him a good big man hug and make sure it's one that you mean. Thank you very much.
Don't tell everyone.
It's it's in the universe now. It's out on the world, LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah, I'm gonna cut and take the tiny piece where Steven is most vulnerable and share it to the world. Yeah,
please do. And I genuinely mean this. I love opportunities to be me as opposed to waistcoat. So any dad, any husband, any person, any business owner who wants a chat, this kind of chat, obviously Chris can do it and deliver it and put it online. But if you don't want to put it online, you don't want to be that open, then whether it's me, whether it's your mate, whether it's your golf club, whether it's football, cricket, wherever you are, whatever team you are part of, it's okay. Be you. And in order to be the best version of you, you've got to give every part of you as well. Yeah. So.
Very much so. Well, anybody else listening, if you go to Marks and Spencer today, there's a lot of jumpers saying coming ho, 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 home. And it's sadly it's not, but they're cheap and it's a good way to keep warm. So maybe go and grab one of those today. Steven Logan, thank you so much again for your time and for your thoughts and just being a really good human being today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Chris, for allowing me to open up. Thank you.